Here is section 1 of the story. Please subscribe our channel before watching section 1. Yellow Square Section 1. The awkward first encounter. Started with a favor. Simple, harmless. My roommate asked if her boyfriend could borrow a few tools and help install a shelf in my room. He's good with his hands, she had said, half laughing. I shrugged and said sure. I wasn't expecting much. The shelf was huge. Heavy too. A thick slab of reclaimed wood with metal brackets that needed precision. I'd bought it on impulse and let it sit in the corner for weeks. Honestly, I didn't think anyone would actually help me put it up. He showed up around noon, toolbox in hand. I opened the door and stepped aside, avoiding too much eye contact. He was taller than I remembered. Polite, confident but a little awkward too. He said hi, called me by name, and smiled the way someone does when they're trying not to seem nervous. The first thing he did was misjudge the width of the bracket. It didn't line up with the studs in the wall. He squinted, tilted his head and muttered, "We'll make it work." But as he tried to force it into place, the shelf kept tipping to one side. He adjusted the level. Tried again. It didn't fit. "You want help?" I asked from across the room. No, I've got it," he replied quickly, fumbling with the drill. He wasn't clumsy, just rushing. Like he had something to prove. I sat on the edge of the bed, watching him struggle. His hands were steady, but his measurements were off. Every few minutes he'd step back, stare and sigh. Finally, after the 5th try, he let out a quiet laugh and turned to me. "Okay. Give up. You win." I raised an eyebrow. I wasn't competing. He grinned. "Still, your wall's winning." I stood and walked over. "Here," I said, holding one side of the shelf. "Let's try it together." We lifted it in sync. He adjusted the angle. Held the level. It was silent, only the sound of wood shifting and soft breathing. Then, almost magically, it slid into place. Not perfect, but better. He looked at me. "That actually worked." "Told you," I said. "Just needed patience." He nodded, staring at the shelf like it had insulted him. "I might need a second shot at this later." Smiled. "You're always welcome to try again." And just like that, something subtle passed between us. No touch. No glance that lingered too long. Just a moment, a shared effort, a small success. As he packed up his tools, I noticed how quiet the room had gotten. No music, no distraction. Just the sound of him zipping the bag shut. "Thanks," he said as he left. "For what?" "For letting me mess it up first." I didn't say anything. Just nodded. The shelf stayed half-hung, like a story paused mid-sentence. Let me know when you're ready for section 2, or if you'd like this adapted into a script format for voiceover narration. Here is section 2 of the story, continuing from where we left off. This section builds the emotional tension subtly, maintaining a faceless, atmospheric storytelling style ideal for narration over visuals. Yellow Square Section 2. Growing closeness, subtle chemistry. Few days passed. I didn't think much about the shelf, or him. Life moved quietly. The shelf leaned half-installed in the corner, like an unfinished sentence no one wanted to finish. Then one afternoon there was a knock. I opened the door to find him standing there, holding the same toolbox. He smiled, slightly sheepish. I had a little free time. Thought I'd come finish the job. And blinked. "She's not here." He looked over his shoulder, then back at me. "I know." There was a pause. He didn't step in until I moved aside. He walked straight to the shelf like he'd been thinking about it. I closed the door behind him, the air a little heavier than before. This time he didn't rush. He measured twice, adjusted the brackets, and asked me to hold the side while he drilled. The silence wasn't awkward anymore. It was familiar, comfortable. As he worked, he commented on the books I kept on my desk. "You read Murakami?" he asked, dusting off a copy. "Sometimes," I replied. "When I feel like being confused on purpose." He laughed. "I know the feeling." I caught myself smiling. Then I looked away. While tightening a bracket, his hand brushed mine. It was a small thing. Accidental. But we both paused. I glanced up, and he was already looking at me. "Sorry," he said. "It's okay." He stepped back. "You wanna give it a try?" he asked, handing me the drill. I hesitated but took it. As I tried to screw into the wall, he came behind me, guiding my grip with his hand over mine. His touch was light, careful, not forceful. I could feel the warmth of his arm just barely against my back. "You're doing fine," he said quietly. "Just press in a little slower." The drill hummed. The bracket clicked in. "See," he said. "Perfect fit." We stayed like that for a moment. Close but still apart. No movement, just stillness. Then I stepped forward, out of his reach. He sat on the floor with a sigh, brushing off wood dust from his jeans. I joined him, handing him a glass of water. Neither of us said much after that. The room was filled with nothing but soft breathing and the distant sound of a lawnmower outside. He looked at the now straight shelf and smiled. "Looks like we're halfway there." He nodded. "Better than last time." He looked at me again but this time didn't say anything. When he left that afternoon, he didn't close the door behind him all the way. I watched it slowly swing shut. And I realized it wasn't just the shelf we were trying to align. Here is section 3 of the story, continuing the emotional arc with rising tension and complexity. This section deepens the internal conflict and sets the stage for resolution. Yellow Square Section 3. The turning point, a late visit. It was late. Too late for visitors. The knock came just past 11. I was halfway through brushing my teeth when I heard it. Soft, hesitant, like someone wasn't sure they wanted to be heard. I opened the door slowly, heart already guessing. It was him. He looked tired. Not messy, but not his usual put-together self either. His hair was uncombed. His shirt wrinkled. He held no toolbox this time. "I know it's late," he said, voice low. "But can I come in?" I hesitated, hand still on the doorknob. He noticed. I didn't know where else to go. I stepped aside. He walked in like someone stepping into a memory. Familiar, uncertain. The room felt different tonight. Too quiet, too aware of itself. We sat on the couch. He didn't touch me. Didn't even look at me at first. "She's been distant," he said. "Your roommate." I said nothing. Just waited. "She barely talks to me anymore. She gets annoyed when I try to help. Like I'm doing everything wrong, even when I try to do things right." He rubbed the back of his neck. "It's like I can't fit into her life anymore. Like I'm always forcing it." I stared at the half-finished shelf on the wall. Still tilted. Still waiting. "She used to laugh at my jokes," he continued. "Now she just rolls her eyes." Silence. "And you," he said suddenly, turning to me. "You always listen. You pay attention. You help. Without making me feel like a burden." Felt it then, the shift. The current in the air changing direction. My breath caught in my chest. He leaned slightly closer. I didn't move. Couldn't. His voice dropped to almost a whisper. "Can I be honest?" He nodded. "I think about you more than I should." He leaned in just enough. Close enough to cross a line. I didn't move away. But I didn't move toward him either. He was inches from me when I whispered, "Not like this." His eyes searched mine, even though I knew he couldn't fully see what I was feeling. Neither could I. "You should go," I said more gently than I expected. He held my gaze for a second longer, then stood. No anger. Just resignation. At the door he turned back and said, "Thanks for not pretending." I nodded, unable to say anything else. The door clicked shut behind him. I sat there for a long time after that, the room heavy with silence. The shelf still leaned against the wall, tilted just enough to remind me that some things, some moments, only look easy from a distance. We had tried to keep it simple. But life doesn't always fit the way you think it will. Let me know when you'd like section 4, the final part, where everything resolves symbolically and emotionally. Or I can help adapt this into a YouTube faceless short video script. Here is section 4, the final part of the story. This section offers closure, emotionally and symbolically, while keeping things subtle and faceless, perfect for narration over ambient, minimal visuals. Yellow Square Section 4. Resolution, a second attempt. Weeks passed. The house grew quieter. My roommate stopped mentioning him altogether. I didn't ask. We moved around each other like strangers who shared a fridge. The shelf remained unfinished. A silent witness to everything we hadn't said. I avoided looking at it most days. Then one afternoon I found a note outside my door. Just a scrap of lined paper folded once. My name on the front in neat handwriting. Inside, "Can we finish what we started?" No signature. He didn't need one. I stared at it for a long time. When he showed up later that day, toolbox in hand again, I let him in without a word. He looked different, calmer, more certain. The air between us wasn't charged anymore. It was grounded. We didn't talk much. He unpacked his tools. I held the board in place. No music played. Just the soft clicks of the level against the wood, the hum of a drill, the faint creak of the bracket locking in. We moved together in silence. No clumsy attempts. No brushed hands or caught breaths. Just quiet focus. And this time the shelf fit perfectly. He stepped back and looked at it. Then at me. "All it needed was the right angle," he said. He nodded. "And a little patience." We stood there, both of us staring at the now straight line of the wood against the wall. Simple. Clean. Lined. "I didn't come to complicate things," he said suddenly. "I just wanted to make it right." "You did," I said. "This time it stayed up." He smiled, soft but real. "Guess second tries matter." He packed up slowly, like he wasn't rushing to leave but knew he couldn't stay either. The door, he paused. "Take care of the shelf." Smiled. "I will." He left without saying goodbye. And this time the door closed completely behind him. I stood in the center of the room, the late afternoon light spilling across the floor. I looked up at the shelf. It was steady, solid. No more leaning, no more guesswork. I didn't feel sad. I didn't feel relieved either. It was still. Maybe that was enough. As I sat on the bed, the sunlight warmed my back. I looked at the shelf one last time. It wasn't just a piece of wood anymore. It was a reminder that not everything fits the first time. That sometimes people don't arrive in our lives ready, or in the right shape. Sometimes they need space. A new approach. Second try. But that doesn't mean they're meant to stay. Some shelves stay up. Some people don't. And that's okay. Sometimes the things that don't fit at first just need the right approach. And sometimes you realize it was never about the shelf at all. White heavy check mark, full 2,000-word story complete. Would you like me to turn this into a full script for voiceover with scene direction, or help generate AI visuals prompts for the video?